G'day guys, thanks for visiting Richard's Corner. My name is Richard and this is going to be a vlog entry for you. Today I am celebrating breaking 2,000 views on Richard's Corner. Now, being a rookie YouTube channel, being here since September of 2017, that makes it about 500 views a month. And for a fledgling channel that's just talking about thrifty toy collecting, I'm actually very flattered and very honored to have over 2,000 views from you guys. So thank you so much. I have almost 50 subscribers and I'm just really excited. I'm still taken back by the fact that there's a YouTube channel like me and that people like you are out here watching me just share a little bit of a love for hunting for toys and showing what I got and why it means something to me. And it's just fun, you know. I'm certainly not here for the money. I'm certainly not here for, because I'm not really making anything from YouTube directly anyway. But I'm just really happy that I can sort of be here and share a little bit of my own passion and be part of this big community that is YouTube. So to celebrate this, I'm actually doing kind of an interesting tag video. A YouTube tag video is just basically a bunch of questions from my tablet here that help you get to know me a little bit better. So I was going to do a New Year's thing, but I've already done a New Year's message. So I thought I would change it up and do sort of a random question kind of thing. And this one has to do with television, not televisions, but television and movies. So basically favorites from TV and on the big screen. So I hope it sort of gives you, my viewers, an idea of my tastes and a little bit of a insight as to what kind of guy I am. And you may agree or disagree with my favorites compared to yours. Please leave comments below, and I'd love to hear some of your favorites. So follow along with me as we go through some of my favorites within television and movies. Question 1: my favorite 80s movie. Oh my goodness, 80s movies in the 80s were like, it was like a peak as far as people, trying to put something really unique out there. Police Academy, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all kinds of horror films like gore and thrillers and teen thrillers, and it was just all kinds of really cool movies. But I think one favorite that sticks out, although I love the franchises out there like Star Wars and such that started in the 80s, one of my all-time favorite movies from the 80s is actually The Princess Bride. Marriage brings us together today. There are all these quotes and all these like awesome appearances from really cool guys. Andre the Giant is in it, and just like all these awesome characters come together into this wonderful fairy tale story about love, told by a grandpa to his sick grandson in his bed. So it's just such a heartwarming film. It's fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously, but it's enough of an adventure that it engages me all the way through from beginning to end. So yes, Princess Bride would have to be one of my favorite 80s movies. Question 2: which is my favorite Harry Potter movie? I would have to say it would be Harry Potter: Order of the Phoenix. Harry Potter comes into his own in this movie. I think that he becomes the leader that he is meant to be. He leads his student friends into a fight against the dark wizards. So he forms the army of Dumbledore, and they go into the room of requirement, and they train in secret to try to defeat people that are clearly after the school and out to get Harry, as well as rule the magical world and then the world of the Muggles, our world, at the same time. So I think Order of the Phoenix was great, not coming out, but kind of like him coming into his character, coming into the more mature Harry Potter that leads everyone into the battle against Voldemort at the end. So Order of the Phoenix would probably be one of my favorites. My favorite Hobbit from Lord of the Rings. Now, I'm going to be basing this on the cinematic version because I haven't read the books yet, even though I hauled the Lord of the Rings novels from the Salvation Army recently. I'm going to tag my video from there. So, but I think that my favorite Hobbit would have to be Pippin. Now, Pippin is a little bit He's kind of an obscure guy, like Samwise Gamgee, noble, loyal, follows Frodo to the end. Frodo tasked to destroy the ring in Mordor, and then Merry, Pippin's sidekick or partner, the brothers in arms, even though they're not blood brothers. Pippin, he comes across as a very like he's very meek, and he doesn't have his courage yet. And throughout the Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers, I mean, he plays a role like he has heart. He doesn't have a lot of bravery or courage, but he has heart, and he loves his friends, and he will fight for his friends to the end. And in Return of the King, he comes into his own, and he with helps Gandalf and help defend the White Towers, and he just comes into his own. Like, he becomes this awesome character. I think there's an underlying theme here as far as what characters sort of draw me in. But Pippin, when I see him grow from beginning to end, I think he's one of the most improved characters. He sort of grows the most, and he. Although Samwise is like a rock, like he stays consistent throughout the whole thing, Pippin evolves into this awesome hero that fights alongside everyone else with the same grit and heart that everyone had mostly from the beginning. So I would say Pippin is probably my favorite Hobbit. Next question, which is my favorite Simpsons character? You know what? It seems like a cop-out to say Homer, and maybe or Bart, but these two guys, the father-son team, I wouldn't say that I'm like Homer, because Homer can be quite an idiot sometimes. But I love how he has, again, heart about being a dad. He takes being dad very seriously, even though his execution isn't always right. He will often come through for his son or his daughters or his wife, or like he comes through. Like, he's a guy. He really means well, even if he doesn't always execute it well. So I think I can relate to him in that respect. That, with all intent and purposes, I try my best to be a good dad and a husband and a good partner and a good soldier at work or whatever have you. But I mean, sometimes you just fall flat on your face trying to do so. But Homer, he always comes through in the end. Like, in the end, he ends up being the good guy that you can count on and that you will thank and appreciate at the end. So I would have to say it'd be Homer. Next question, favorite cartoon cat. I've got a lot of favorites, actually, but I mean, I was really a big fan of Tom and Jerry. I love Garfield, and but I think one of my more recent favorites is Simon's Cat. Have you ever seen that? Simon's Cat is like on social media, and it's just all these little animated shorts of a cat that doesn't talk, but is very, very expressive as he tries to get his owner's attention, to eat or to wake up or whatever. I love the way he's depicted in these cartoons, and he's just so he's so cute, and it's really heartwarming that as much as he means well, he really is an annoying cat. But his owner loves him. Clearly, Simon loves him. So Simon's Cat is probably my favorite. My favorite TV sitcom, all-time favorite, has got to be Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld, the show about nothing. It engages me because it really is about nothing. You sort of tune out and you just sort of tune into their, nothing life, and you just follow their day, and they get into all kinds of silly antics, and George is really selfish, and Kramer can be really like over the top, and Elaine, the ex-girlfriend friend, just has her attitude, but I mean, they're so funny to watch together. The chemistry is amazing. The cast is just always, like, from beginning to end, right from the beginning of Seinfeld all the way to when they had the show finale. The chemistry has always made the show so much fun to watch, and I think that's what makes it my favorite, is because of the chemistry that they had together. And when you see some of the behind the scenes, like the bloopers are just as funny as the show. So Seinfeld, that would be my favorite sitcom. Favorite cartoon, that was a toss-up. I would have to say it's either going to be between Looney Tunes and Simpsons and Star Wars, so, Clone Wars. So, but I mean, like Looney Tunes, I grew up with it, and I probably going to rank it up there above the other two, mostly because it was my childhood, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon cartoons. I'd get up early. I would drag my feet out of bed to go to school every day, but at Saturday morning, I was up like a shot to make sure I was going to catch the first run of Looney Tunes in the morning. And then sure enough, after some of the afternoon sports and stuff like that, there'd be another run of Looney Tunes on another channel at supper time. So I would have this double dose of cartoons every Saturday, and I loved watching Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Porky Pig and Foghorn Leghorn, Pepe Le Pew, Speedy Gonzales, Sylvester the Cat, Tweety Bird, everyone. Like just so much fun to watch. Warner Brothers made such a great cartoon, and although it's grossly inappropriate for some of today's standards, as people get so easily offended now, I would still say Looney Tunes ranks right up there as one of my favorite cartoons ever. Favorite scary movie? I love scary movies. But I think one of my favorites has to be Paranormal Activity, the series. Paranormal Activity is a found footage kind of style thing where victims in a house are haunted or dealing with a demonic presence within their home, and they install security cameras because they think someone is actually trying to do home invasions when really there's something supernatural happening in their home. And I know it's not real. I know that it's not, that it's very staged and everything, and it still creeps me out every time. And just how the execution of it is really good, So I really enjoy found footage movies because of their grit and low budget kind of look. But I mean, if I wanted to go for a bigger budget or more mainstream kind of movie, I'd have to say one of my all-time favorite horror films is Day of the Dead, George Romero, zombie films. Yes, best movies ever. Gore, suspense, and just, there's nothing even shocking. There's no shock. The shock value is in the gore, right? It's just gross. He does awesome special effects. And they were all analog. There was no CG back then. So it was all like, the corn syrup, blood, and just guts and all kinds of organic things, and animatronics, making people look like they're being torn apart and while they're still screaming. And Day of the Dead was such an awesome zombie film. So I think it would have to be that as my favorite film. But I mean, as a franchise, I think Paranormal Activity is one of my favorites as well. So moving on, my favorite funny movie. Oh my gosh. I would have to say Groundhog Day is one of my favorite funny movies. I love Bill Murray in that movie. One of those, kind of an ass at the start of the film, very full of himself and all this stuff. And then he comes around to finding out what's really important to him, and stuck in this Groundhog Day every day for many, many years. According to some geeks out there who've actually calculated how long he was stuck on Groundhog Day, he spent many years in Punxsutawney trying to find himself. Like, I mean, he basically learned how to toss cards, and he learned how to play piano, and he learned how to do all kinds of amazing things. And it just makes you wonder, if you had forever to do something, what would you do? And it's like, wow, like he discovered so much about himself and how much he loved this and that. And yeah, and then eventually he breaks out of it once whatever powers released him from Groundhog Day. By the time he had been released, he found his true love. He had discovered so many different things about himself, and he wants to stay in Punxsutawney permanently. So it's a really heartwarming story, and his over the top kind of physical comedy is really funny, but so it's just such a nice movie to watch. So I really like his chemistry with Andy McDowell, and it's just an awesome movie to watch for me. Okay, next question: favorite chick flick? Well, I'd have to say, and I think I mentioned it in one of my hauls, I think Notting Hill is probably one of my favorite chick flicks. Set in London, in Notting Hill. Julia Roberts playing this awesome famous actress, Hugh Grant, playing a bookshop owner, and they sort of get together, and they run into each other, and he falls instantly in love with her, and she slowly falls in love with him, and it's a really cool story. I think another favorite of mine would be You've Got Mail. Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, their chemistry is awesome as well. Very dated because they're using modems to connect to their email. They're using AOL, America Online, as their service. A really dated movie. But the You've Got Mail movie was actually a remake of another. It was actually based on an old movie where instead of email, they were exchanging letters, and they finally meet each other in the end. So yeah, I'd have to say chick flick wise, Notting Hill with Julia Roberts, and You've Got Mail with Meg Ryan. Let's see here. Favorite Pixar movie? Oh my gosh, how can I narrow it down to just one? I'd have to say, you know what? One of my favorite Pixar movies, I'd have to say Cars. Cars 3 especially. I love the evolution of Lightning McQueen in all the movies. I love the idea of talking cars. I love how they gave these cars personalities and they were able to sort of express themselves even though they're cars. They're not like bipeds with arms and legs. And they still, like, it was really convincing and really, and it sold me on the idea, okay, these are talking cars and this is how they would be if they were talking cars. But in Cars 3, I love how his character completely evolved, and I really it really grasped it really took me in. Sort of seeing the not the fall of Lightning McQueen. If you haven't watched Cars 3, sorry, don't listen to this. But seeing him like come down from being a champion racer down to being a coach, and sort of seeing him come into his own all over again, and finding his passion all over again is really a cool storyline. I think that Cars 3 is an awesome Pixar movie. All-time movie though, I'd have to say The Incredibles is a great movie. I love it because it's a family of superheroes and they deal with family problems and they're still superheroes. So I think that's a really cool idea. And I love, the dad, Mr. Incredible is, trying to find himself all over again, and he goes on these secret missions, business trips he calls them, but he goes on these secret missions and he's earning extra money and he's making, improving lifestyle at his home, but without them knowing that he's gone back into being a superhero. And the family steps up again to save him, but they all become superheroes at the end, and it's cute. Like it's a great movie. So Cars 3 is one of my favorites, current favorites, but my all-time favorite is probably The Incredibles. My favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Actually, I really like Leonardo DiCaprio. I think that the movie that I discovered him in was Romeo and Juliet. And he was younger there, and he's been in many movies since. Like most recently for me, I think I've caught parts of The Revenant and a survival movie with him. And he plays, it's so intense. And it's like, oh, I haven't seen the whole thing. But when I discovered him in Romeo and Juliet, I was really taken by him. Like I couldn't believe just how much heart and intensity he had in his role as Romeo. And even though it was a modern take and it wasn't like altogether classical kind of portrayals of them, he really sold me. Like he really grabbed me and my attention. And he's played all kinds of like sappy roles, like in Titanic, and some really intense roles, like in Blood Diamond, and some really cool autobiographical roles. Is that a word? Like in The Great Gatsby and also in The Aviator. So he's really versatile and really like passionate, as an actor. So discovering him in Romeo and Juliet is probably one of the first movies and one of my most favorite movies with him in it. So who is my favorite actor or actress over 50? So I'm going to pick one of each. So my favorite actor that's over 50 would have to be Robert Downey Jr. I love how he's playing Iron Man. I love his current way of acting. Now, this witty side of him, yet macho kind of, like he's played characters like that all the time. But watching him in Iron Man, I think he's sort of come into this. It's not a breakout role for him because he's been in acting forever. Have you seen him in Sherlock Holmes and 1 and 2? He is awesome in that movie, and he's got that same wit. It's just in a classical setting, and him being in the Avengers and in Civil War and in his own Iron Man movies. I mean, he plays Tony Stark so well. So I'd have to say, because of his charm and his the way he acts, and how he just sort of grabs that character and just sucks you in with that personality, I think he'd have to be one of my favorites. Honorable mentions though: George Clooney, and Brad Pitt, and Matt Damon. They're like all over 50, and but they're still awesome at what they do. So really cool actors all around. So my favorite actress over 50 would have to be Helen Hunt. Now, I've seen her in The Sessions, which is a recent movie about her being a sex therapist, but I've also seen her in like really classic movies too, like Twister, and in a few other movies. Anyway, like, oh yeah, As Good as It Gets. As Good as It Gets. She's really intense in that one. Really heartwarming movie. But Helen Hunt, there's something about the way she portrays the characters that she plays, and she plays them with such like it's just such a she's just so genuine, like so believable, and she doesn't play anything like over, like I haven't seen her in really complicated roles, but the movies I've seen her in are more like straightforward, right? So but I mean I really enjoy watching her act. I mean like she's just such a really she's a beautiful actress, and she just plays her roles with a really like a genuine feel to it. So I really love Helen Hunt. Favorite Marvel movie. I mentioned it before. Robert Downey Jr. sells me on Iron Man. I have to say, the Avengers franchise is some of my like my most favorite Marvel movies. Honorable mentions: Logan, and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like I mean, yeah, Logan is probably a second, like a close second. But the Avengers, 1 and 2, they're just so awesome. Again, chemistry, on screen chemistry. Sorry, guys. That's what really sells me on a movie. And if I see the chemistry between actors, especially a group of actors that come from their own separate movies, come together and collaborate, it's so awesome to watch. In fact, when you see some of the making ofs of Avengers, it's really fun to watch because the director has so much trouble keeping them in line because they're having way too much fun together. So I love that kind of chemistry, and it really shows, like just the way when they're serious and they're really serious and they're really into it. If they're funny, they're really funny, and it's just that like that, not over the top, but that really genuine chemistry that they gel together. That's what really sells me on the Avengers. But Logan, the way Hugh Jackman has portrayed Wolverine all this time, that's such an intense movie, such a primo movie. It's like, oh, you got to watch it. Next one. What is my favorite TV show? Oh, it's a tough one. There's a lot. You know what? I watch a lot of awesome PVR shows with my common-law, and she watches all kinds of shows. Like she watches a lot of crime dramas. She watches a few medical dramas. I like the crossover ones: the Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and Chicago. I forget the other. What? Right, Chicago Med, Chicago Med, Chicago PD, and Chicago Fire. So I like that crossover, and I love the idea. Again, a collaboration of different shows coming together, and you'll see characters from one show appear in the other. I really like that idea. So I think that's really cool. But I think my all-time favorites are actually on cooking channels. So Good Eats with Alton Brown. He is so awesome at talking about food. And you would think that it's not even about cooking food necessarily. It's about talking about food. Like he cooks in the show, but the idea is for you to sort of know something better about a certain food. So, the orange, or something about a liqueur, or something about a type of food or a type of cooking. You'd be surprised how much you'll learn. And I love watching him. Like he's so whimsical. He knows his stuff, but he really presents it in a way that's just fun to watch, right? So there's a lot of shows out there like that, but I think probably Good Eats is probably one of my favorites. What's my favorite canceled TV series? That's an easy one, actually, and I have almost the entire set on DVD. I'd have to say it's The Mentalist. Again, my common-law introduced me to that show on our PVR, and I actually got all of the DVDs on Facebook Marketplace, and it was really cool because he is an observer. He's not really a mentalist per se, but he sort of seems like he's reading your mind. But really, he's just reading what you say, how you say it, your body language, how you answer questions. It was just such a science, and it's real. Like people do this, but the way he does it, and it's just it's so captivating, and I love watching him do his thing. And when he pulls apart someone and just sort of tears like the layers away and reveals that he's the killer, or she's the killer, or he did it or she did it, and why, and it's like, oh my gosh, that is so crazy. So yeah, I have to say The Mentalist is probably one of my favorite canceled shows ever. 2 more questions, guys. What is my favorite show on Discovery Channel? Okay, one of my favorite shows on Discovery Channel that is not on Discovery Channel anymore, but is Dirty Jobs. Okay, Mike Rowe doing Dirty Jobs, best show ever on Discovery Channel. Close second, Mythbusters, and Canada's Worst Driver, and Canada's Worst Handyman. The Canada's Worst shows with with Young Husband as the host. He was so awesome. Andrew Young Husband. I loved the way he tried to be this patient host. He wasn't patient all the time. Sometimes he actually got mad at some of the contestants. But it was so fun to watch him try to teach us something very basic that people should be able to do, whether it's in driving or construction or or handyman stuff or whatever. But seeing these people do it so badly, and it's like, oh, it's like Survivor, but it's just it's handyman work and driving. So it's so funny. MythBusters, if you haven't seen it, there's a whole brand new MythBusters now. The old Jamie Heineken and oh my gosh, the original duo of MythBusters, they're not doing it anymore. They actually concluded their season 10, a year or two ago. But now there's a new MythBusters with two new people, and it's amazing how close in personalities they are from the originals. But anyway, the original MythBusters, with the original two, as well as the trio that also helped them bust their myths or confirm the myths, they were so awesome. But watching Mike Rowe do Dirty Jobs was so good. He has an awesome voice. He's got an awesome personality on screen. He just knows how to make it entertaining. And I mean, he did the worst jobs ever. I mean, like, cleaning up poop, like in a zoo, that's very tame compared to some of the sewers that he went down to clean, and some of the septic tanks and things that he crawled into. And oh, like, it was just it's just horrible. So for a long time, I was actually still streaming his episodes, but now they've moved to another network that I have no access to. So it's too bad, but I love that show. Dirty Jobs is probably my all-time favorite Discovery Channel show. And lastly, what is my favorite classic movie? I'd have to say that it's a Christmas show, actually. It's A Wonderful Life. It's one of my favorite classic movies. Now, one of those kinds of shows where, this a really genuine guy who wins the girl, and tries to get a life with her, but they go through all kinds of ups and downs, financial troubles, and he almost kills himself in this movie. And then he comes around, and an angel shows him what life would have been without him, and he doesn't realize just how much of an impact he's had on everyone's life throughout the movie, even though he's gone through a lot of hardship. And the hardship sort of breaks him, and he realizes that he just wants to end it. But then this angel comes in and shows what the world would have been without him, and he wants his life back, and it's like, oh my gosh. So it's awesome. He takes everything in stride. He comes back and runs back to his family, and he realizes that all the troubles that he was going through, he actually gets pulled out of by the same people he helped throughout the entire movie, including the people that are out, the debtors that are out to get him and sort of force him to pay things back and whatever. So a really heartwarming film. It is a Christmas film, but a classic, all around. I mean, there's all kinds of classic films, but that one is sort of easy for me to watch, and it's heartwarming, and it's fun, and a really good show. So anyway, that's all my ranting about TV and television, TV and movies. So my goodness, it was a lot longer than I thought it would be. But you know what? I hope that you enjoyed it, and you sort of get a little insight as to the what's inside the head of Richard from Richard's Corner here. So thanks again. 2,000 views is a great thing for this junior channel. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to just sort of share myself out to you guys, just my passions, my excitement. I mean, yes, this is more about thrifting and collecting toys and books and movies and all this stuff. But I mean, in the end, I mean, we all become like part of a community of people that are like-minded, and I hope that more of you keep coming to visit. So thank you so much. Richard's Corner wouldn't be where it is without you guys being here to share in the journey. And I hope that you continue to share it and share it out to other people so they can discover all the other cool things that I find in the coming weeks. So thanks so much for visiting Richard's Corner. So I'm going to sign off for now. So Richard from Richard's Corner signing out, wishing you happy hunting, happy collecting, and hoping that all of your finds, whether they're thrifty or otherwise, are equally awesome. Thanks again for making Richard's Corner what it is today, and we'll see you next time.